In this segment, I'll show how the Master Teacher Edition helps me keep all students on track to master the year-end standards. After a lesson, I can use the tools in the Master Teacher Edition to quickly capture my observations about student progress. I right-click on the lesson block and select Record Progress to open the formative assessment form. I can make a note about how to prove this lesson in the future. I'll use a 4-point scale to note which students are struggling and which need more challenge. The rest are doing fine, so I'll mark them as proficient with a single click. This is where the Master Teacher Edition really helps me make sure all students stay on track. My planner now displays a reminder that I need to set up an intervention for the struggling students. The reminder shows me who needs help with which standard and gives me instructions about how to set up an intervention. I'll work with these students after lunch while the rest are doing independent reading. I drag the intervention in my calendar to schedule the intervention. Now all the tools Metria provides me for building lessons are available to help me set up an effective intervention. I select a different activity and resource to try another way to scaffold these students. Metria also gives me rich views of student progress that help me in many ways. To see how my whole class is doing in math, I select my students and select my math class. Now I can see how each of my students is doing overall in the domains we've covered so far in our math unit plan. At a glance, I can see the number of times I've observed progress in each domain and the number of times the student has been proficient. Elizabeth has been doing better on the geometry unit. Jane has been working at an advanced level for every unit up until the geometry unit. I can dig deeper to see how the student has done over the course of each unit. I click on the student name and I see a view that shows how each lesson and intervention for each standard covered in the unit. I see that Elizabeth started out struggling, but after some interventions I was able to bring her up to proficiency. I find this view really helpful for parent-teacher conferences. I'll make a note suggesting that Elizabeth do some work over the summer next year because she regressed over the summer on some fundamental math concepts that are important for this grade level. Metria also helps me and my colleagues think about how to improve our unit and lesson plans. When I look at the unit progress view, I can see that we're doing well until we came to the units addressing fractions. When I select the unit, I see the specific standards that were part of the unit and how the class did with each. I'll talk to my colleagues to see if they are having a similar experience. Together, we can probably come up with some ideas about how to improve the effectiveness of our fractions instruction. I find that a small investment of time in capturing formative assessment data yields a big return. I can keep individual students on track and get insights into how to improve my plan going forward. In the next segment, we'll look at how to turn those insights into a continually improving plan that can be shared with colleagues and principals.